welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hi, welcome to Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast. I'm your host, Jessikah, and I am here with the author of a book that mixes mythology and bends the whole thing in so many different ways that are fun and different. And I think a lot of people are going to love it. Please introduce yourself and tell us about Fallen Gods.
Hi, my name is Rachel Van Dyken. I've been an author for close to 13, 14 years now. I'm an author of multiple genres, over 100 books, and recently just released a book called Fallen Gods, which is kind of an urban fantasy romantasy about Norse mythology it takes place in modern day Lake Stevens, which is right outside of Seattle, at a university where we have the daughter of Odin who is trying to get Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer, back into the hands of the gods that are now trapped here. The Bifrost is broken. So if you know anything about Norse mythology, Bifrost is what connects the worlds together. Bifrost is broken. Giants and gods are asleep and they're trapped here. And it's her mission to get it back so they can return home. But also in all of this, it's kind of like a flip. I flipped everything on its ear. So we have a book where the gods are bad. So the gods are bad, the giants are good. So that's kind of where everything comes to play. And it's just a very fun urban fantasy.
Yeah, and also you know that, yes, like you said, the gods are bad. It's a family drama too, by the
It
way.
is.
Because like the main female character, Ray, she's a daughter, like you said, she's a daughter of Odin, but like it's a real contentious relationship. You think at first, and you're just like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, this is the direction it's going in. But then it's like, oh no, actually, Odin is like he's like a really terrible person. Um, and there's this history with the sons that are of the giants. And yeah, it's got a mix of dark academia in there too, by
Mhm.
the way. I mean, really, like you kind of just play with it all. But I saw that
Yeah.
you dedicated this to your grandfather.
I did. So my on my dad's side were Norwegian. So they came here from Norway. My grandpa, like we even have like their papers of coming into the country and everything still. So like it's really cool. So like that whole side of the family is Norwegian, and they actually decided to settle in Seattle. So I grew up with like tons of books from Norway about Norse mythology, tons of like children's books, poetry, stuff. So really it's kind of like an honor of him, and but also an honor of like the heritage that I grew up in. I mean, a lot of people, you grow up, you learn about different mythologies in school, like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, you learn about the Mayans and stuff. But a lot of times we don't learn about some of the other ones. We don't learn a ton about Gilgamesh. We don't learn a ton about, about Norse mythology. And so like for me, I wanted to bring that in. And so that's why I dedicated it to him.
So where did you get this idea? And like where did the all of like the intricacies kind of come from with that, with the story? Like how did you know who had what role to play in the way that this was going to play out?
That's a great question. Here's the thing, like I feel like in a lot of books with gods, you are trying to make these like bad people good, right? With Norse mythology, we're people, the only comparison they have coming into it is Marvel. Let's be honest. They're coming into it, and the only thing they have in their heads, unless they've studied it, which majority of people haven't, they're going to be like, oh, Loki's mischievous, Thor has the hammer, he's powerful, and Odin's all knowing, all good. He has an eye patch. Great. So like that's all they know coming into it. And I was like, for this mythology, like I don't want him to be this all loving, all wonderful Odin father who's all these things. Because if you really look at the mythology, he was a very selfish man in the mythology. He wanted wisdom, he craved wisdom, he even poked out his own eye to get wisdom. Like he wanted to know his future, he was fearful, he was all these things. And I was like, man, that is a very could be a very corrupt individual. And because my past in writing mafia kind of, I can't help but default to that. I was like, what if he was a mob boss? Because in my brain, and this is how it works, I'm like, when I read mythology, when I read like vampire novels, I'm like, why are they so rich? Oh, because they're super old. So they have to like, so they have all this money, they acquire it. It makes sense. It's like two plus two equals four. But with them, like they're trapped here and have only been here for a certain amount of time. I'm like, what would be the easiest way for someone who's just not a great person to get a lot of money? I'm like, oh, criminal underground. 100%. Like in my brain, that was just like so logical. I'm like, naturally, he's just gonna kill people. People are disposable to him. Like he doesn't care. He just wants money. That's the easiest way. He has power. He still has some power. Cool. So he's gonna be a mob boss. And so that's kind of where that took a turn. And then I just love the whole university setting. Like I was trying to think of like a way to make it make sense, right? Because I had all these ideas floating around in my head, and I'm like, oh, well, that would make sense that she's really just like an assassin out to get certain things. But if certain, people aren't awake in this timeline, we have gods and giants that are among us, but don't realize they're among us. I'm like, what would cause like the most tension? And I'm like, man, if you had to go back to school and your enemy's there, so you have like that whole trope there, and you have to get something where it's not just like, oh, I have to find this artifact. It's like the most powerful weapon in the world, and my dad needs it, who's probably going to take over the world if I give it to him. But also, what else? What are my other choices here? It just brings in a lot of higher stakes. And like the more I thought about it, the higher the stakes went. And for me as a reader, like I'm always say I'm a reader first, I'm an author second. I wrote what I love to devour. There's a lot of fantasy books out there right now that are killing it and making you want to throw your book and cry and are just like emotionally tormenting you. And I really wanted to give like kind of default to what I do best, I think, which is really good witty banter, really good storyline, really good interesting plot that's different, and really do like a refreshing take on something where you have fun. And I really wanted people to have fun with it, and I hope that I accomplished that with this one.
What about Eric and his brother? Yeah, they are really interesting. How did they come into their part of the story? How did you reimagine the giants as them?
That's so the Giants. Oh, that was such a. I wish, like, this is where you wish as an author. I'm like, how can I make this book seriously long without boring people to death, right? Because in my mind, I love all that research, and I love like you talked about the family dynamics and the political intrigue, like all that fascinates me so much. And so diving into that too deep, I couldn't do that with them, but I did enough. I feel like, with his brother, you're always questioning, like, he says he's out to help him, but is he? Like you're constantly questioning him. You're like, is he have his own selfish like? And I mean, every character, the whole point was like every character, you're like, okay, their story arc is you're telling me one thing on page, but I have this bad feeling and I don't know why I have this bad feeling. Or like they'll be totally fine and then they'll say one tiny thing and you're like, that doesn't sit right. Why doesn't that sit right with me? And with Reeve and with Eric, I really wanted it to be to where you were constantly trying to guess. And then you're constantly trying to go, well, maybe Ray, because Ray is bad, like maybe she's coming between them. Maybe Reeve is right. Like, and then you start doubting yourself. And so I really wanted to bring in that into play because you have brothers that should be tighter than anything. They're blood brothers, right? So like you want them to be this unit, this team. Then what happens when a girl comes in and tries to rip them apart? And so that's kind of bringing into like forget all mythology, forget all of that. That's just life, right? What happens when someone comes in and disrupts what the calm you've had your entire life with your family? What does that look like? And what does that look like when you up the stakes and it's something totally different?
Yeah, and I feel like that was just generally the tone of the entire book,
Hmm.
is that you know that certain things are in there, but you're not really sure how they're going to play out. And even just,
Hmm.
and not to really spoil anything, but just what it means for, the gods and the giants and just everybody to be asleep. Like,
Hmm.
what does that really look like? And how much do either of the characters know what that
Yeah.
means?
Yeah.
Because
And how much do they know?
yeah, and how much? Because like as the reader, and having known, know a little bit of mythology, I thought that it was going in one direction and then it didn't. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, like in extremely clever ways that I will let the reader figure out. But it was super, super fun. It was just like a real fun, wild ride.
Yay. I'm so glad you had fun with it. That's it feels like mission accomplished then if you had fun with it because that was my goal. And yeah, it's so hard to even like talk about it because I'm like there are so many spoilers, right? Like I feel like every time I've talked about it, I'm like, and then because I really want to get into the meat of it, but you can't because there's so many you think again the book is going one way and then you have like the last 30 pages and you're just like and it's just like boom, 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 one thing after another. And you're like, and then it all makes sense. And then you're like, oh, like then you can kind of go back. I've had a couple readers say that after the fact, they've gone back and reread it and been like, how did I not see that? How did I not see this? And it's like, yeah, because you just don't, you're, on purpose. Hopefully, a good author can blind you to that a little bit. And then when you go back, you're like, I'm an idiot. Like I should have seen that coming or I should have known this. And so that's the fun part about like reading. And that's what I love about books. Like I love that you can always go back and find little nuggets and Easter eggs and things like that. Like that's the really fun part as an author, but also as a reader. So I feel like with this book, you do you still have that experience. You're either beating yourself up or you think it's going to go one way and then it doesn't. And then you're like, oh, I should have known better than this.
Absolutely. And I'm curious. So it's a duology?
Yes, it is a duology. So there's one more book in the series coming out. And I like that. And this is again a reader preference. I prefer duologies. I think it's really hard. And I was just talking to my agent about this yesterday, but it's really hard when you have multiple books in a series and it's about the same couple because the second book is always going to be not what people want because you have to rip them apart again. Something bad or massive has to happen, or you have really boring world building in order to put in filler in order to get them to where you need them to get. And while people say they love world building, we don't love 500 pages of it, right? Like we we want the couple to be together, we want all the things. And so for me, I'm excited because on book two, like there's so much going on in it. Like the first chapter for book two, it's like bam, like there is no, and now we're back here and here's our setting and it's very calm. Let me hold your hand and guide you through it. It's like you hit the ground running. And I love that as a reader too. Like I love getting right into it, being like, okay, let's go. We're back, we're enrolled, we're back in. Like let's strap in and get going. And so I think that that's what makes it fun when it's a duology is you don't have that pause and you don't even have a chance to catch your breath. And I want readers to be able to dive right in and be like, oh, we're in it.
Well, I know people are going to be really looking forward to that. So when does that one come out again?
They won't tell me yet. So I don't know
Oh no.
yet.
Okay, I
So
wasn't
I don't
sure.
know
Like
yet. But
I thought
I'm
you
hoping
gave a
within no,
date.
I'm hoping it's going to be less than a year. So that's my hope and my prayer. So I do know a couple of dates, but there again, everything isn't set in stone. So I don't want to get people's hopes up and be like, just kidding, they moved it. So yeah, it's hopefully within the year. Book two will be out. So yeah, definitely look forward to that.
You had mentioned before also a little bit about your background doing like
Mhm.
mafia fiction. Was it
Mhm.
really difficult for you to change gears? I mean, obviously you put some of that in here,
Mhm.
but just in general, as far as magical world building altogether.
I don't think it was difficult, especially because I was able to default to that a little bit. I think what I will say is no matter what genre I'm writing or what book you read from my backlist, I always am very dialogue heavy. So that's something that I can't quit. I can't stop that. So that's the hard part. If someone was to say, "Hey, release this book, but you can't have a ton of dialogue," I don't think I could actually actively do that because what I love to read and that's what I just genuinely go to. So whenever people like if they look at my backlist like, "Oh, I don't know if I like vampires." I'm like, "I promise if you liked Fallen Gods, you're going to like my vampire books. And if you liked Fallen Gods, you're going to really like my mafia books. You're really going to like them because it's all political intrigue and family and just all of the, it's high stakes. Like it's all those things. So I feel like that's what's fun about crossing genres is you still bring a little bit of yourself into each of them. I think the hard part for this was actually probably toning it down a little bit for me. I'm in fantasy. I can't be as slapstick. Like I can't bring in as much humor as I would like to. So like a lot of the deleted scenes are actually deleted scenes where they were like, this isn't necessary. And I'm like, I know, but it's funny. And they're like, right, but it's urban fantasy. We don't need all this comedy in here. And I'm like, okay, fine. So like a lot of the stuff that we did delete, it wasn't necessary. It was just for me entertaining. And so that was the hard part is was like dialing it back a bit.
Is there a genre you'd like to play with that you have not had a chance to yet?
Oh, that's a good question. I always, right now, I think why choose would be a really fun like trope within a genre. Like that would be really fun to do just because it reminds me kind of a little bit of like reverse harem, like you have like that whole concept. I think that'd be really fun. I keep saying that it'd be fun to write an alien romance, but we have Ruby Dixon and she exists and she's so good at it that I'm like, why would I even try? It's like when you have Julia Quinn writing Bridgerton or Eloisa James, you're like, why? Why would I try Regency again when I know that we have like these rock stars out here? So I say it and then I'm like, I don't know. I am working on a really awesome thriller right now. So I'm hoping that gets picked up, but I'm working on a thriller that my husband helped inspire. He was like, you need to write this. This is crazy. And I'm like, okay. So hopefully that makes it through. And I'm like, but I was like, but I have to have some romance. He's like, you're allowed a little bit of romance, but it needs to be like main thriller. And I'm like, okay. So that's like my next challenge for myself is really doing something dark and like suspense filled and stuff where it's not focused so much on the romance, but more just on the storyline.
Thank you so much. Fallen Gods, it's out in the new year, correct?
It's already out right now. Yep. And people can
Oh,
grab it
yes.
anywhere. Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, run to your library shelves or your favorite bookshop and pick it
Mhm.
up and get ready for the next installment, which will be sometime next year.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. This was Jessica with Syosset Libraries Turn the Page podcast, and we are going to close this chapter.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.